Have you ever found yourself procrastinating on a really important project, even though you know the deadline is looming? Or maybe you've started a new diet, everything's going great, and then suddenly you're binging on all the things you promised you wouldn't eat. It feels illogical, right? You want to succeed, you want to be healthy, but something inside you seems to be pulling you in the opposite direction. This frustrating pattern is called self-sabotage, and it's a lot more common than you might think. It's that invisible force that trips you up right before you cross the finish line. Today, we're going to dive deep into the psychology behind why we sabotage ourselves, what drives this behavior, and most importantly, how we can start to break free from this cycle. So, what exactly is self-sabotage? In simple terms, it's when we actively or passively take steps to prevent ourselves from reaching our goals. It's the conflict between our conscious desires, like getting that promotion or finishing that marathon, and our subconscious fears and beliefs that hold us back. It shows up in many forms: procrastination, negative self-talk, perfectionism, picking fights in a healthy relationship, or even substance use. It's like having one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. You're trying to move forward, but you're also holding yourself back, creating a lot of internal friction and frustration. The key thing to understand is that self-sabotage isn't a sign of weakness or a character flaw. It's a learned behavior, a protective mechanism that our brain developed for a reason, even if that reason no longer serves us. Let's explore some of the deep-rooted psychological reasons behind this behavior. One of the biggest culprits is a low sense of self-worth. If deep down you don't believe you deserve success, happiness, or love, you'll subconsciously find ways to push it away when it comes your way. It is like your mind has a set point for how much good stuff you are allowed to have. When you start to exceed that limit, an internal alarm goes off and self-sabotaging behaviors kick in to bring you back to your familiar, albeit uncomfortable, comfort zone. This often stems from childhood experiences, like hearing critical messages from parents or teachers that made you feel like you weren't good enough. These messages get internalized and become the voice in your head that says, "Who do you think you are to achieve this?" Another powerful driver is the fear of failure. This one seems pretty straightforward, right? No one likes to fail, but for some, this fear is so paralyzing that it's easier to not try at all, or to create your own reasons for failure. If you procrastinate and then rush to finish a project at the last minute, you can blame the lack of time if it doesn't turn out well. You can tell yourself, "If only I had more time, it would have been perfect." This protects your ego from the real sting of potential failure. You're creating a built-in excuse. It's a way of controlling the narrative of your own shortcomings. Instead of facing the possibility that your best effort might not be good enough, you ensure that you never give your best effort in the first place. But here is a twist that might surprise you. The fear of success is just as powerful, if not more so, than the fear of failure. Success is scary. It brings change, responsibility, and visibility. If you succeed, you might have to keep succeeding. People will have higher expectations of you. You might outgrow your friends or your current life, and that can feel threatening. What if you get the promotion and you can't handle the pressure? What if you write that best-selling book and you can't write another one? This fear of the unknown and the pressure to maintain success can be so overwhelming that staying in a familiar, less successful place feels safer. Sabotaging your chances keeps you in that safe zone, away from the spotlight and the potential for a bigger fall later on. Perfectionism is another classic mask for self-sabotage. We often think of perfectionism as a positive trait, a desire for excellence, but it can be incredibly destructive. A perfectionist's mindset isn't about doing a great job. It's about avoiding any form of criticism or flaw. They set impossibly high standards for themselves. Since perfection is unattainable, they often end up in a state of paralysis. They'll spend hours on a tiny detail of a project, never finishing the whole thing, or they won't even start because they're convinced they can't do it perfectly. The motto of the perfectionist is, "If I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all." This all-or-nothing thinking is a guaranteed way to stand in your own way and never make real progress toward your goals. So we have low self-worth, fear of failure, fear of success, and perfectionism. Another key factor is what's known as imposter syndrome. This is the persistent feeling that you're a fraud, that you've only gotten where you are through luck, and that at any moment you'll be exposed as incompetent. Even when there's overwhelming evidence of your abilities, you dismiss it. People with imposter syndrome live in constant fear of being found out. This fear can lead them to sabotage their work. They might miss deadlines or turn in subpar work because subconsciously they feel like it aligns more with who they really are, a fraud. It's a painful cycle of achievement followed by intense anxiety and self-doubt. Finally, let's talk about the need for control. Sometimes life feels chaotic and unpredictable. When we can't control external circumstances, we might turn to controlling things we can, even if it's our own failure. It sounds strange, but if you orchestrate your own downfall, at least you were the one in charge. You chose when and how to fail. This gives a bizarre sense of power in a situation where you might otherwise feel powerless. For example, if you're afraid of being rejected in a relationship, you might start picking fights and pushing your partner away. If they eventually leave, it hurts, but a part of you feels a sense of control because you made it happen on your own terms. You weren't just a passive victim of rejection. Now for the most important part. How do we stop this cycle? The first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Start paying attention to your patterns. When do you procrastinate? What kind of negative thoughts pop into your head when you're close to a goal? Keep a journal and just observe your behavior without judgment. Identify the specific ways you self-sabotage. Do you overeat? Do you spend hours scrolling on your phone instead of working? Do you pick fights? Naming the behavior is the first step to taming it. Once you're aware of the what, you can start digging into the why. This requires some self-compassion and curiosity. Instead of beating yourself up, ask gentle questions. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, pause and ask yourself, what am I afraid of right now? What's the worst that could happen if I do this task? Often you'll find that the fear is tied to one of the root causes we discussed. You might be afraid of being judged or of not doing it perfectly. By understanding the underlying fear, you can start to address it directly. The next step is to challenge and reframe your negative thoughts. That critical inner voice is not telling you the truth. It's just replaying old, outdated scripts. When you hear that voice say, you're going to fail, challenge it. Say to yourself, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I won't know unless I try. And what if I succeed? Practice replacing negative self-talk with more realistic and compassionate statements. Instead of I have to do this perfectly, try my goal is to make progress, not to be perfect. This shifts your focus from an impossible outcome to an achievable action. Another powerful strategy is to break down your big, scary goals into tiny, manageable steps. If your goal is to write a book, the thought of writing 300 pages can be paralyzing. But what if your goal for today is just to write 100 words? That feels much more doable. By taking small, consistent steps, you build momentum and prove to your subconscious that you are capable. Each small win rewires your brain, builds your self-confidence, and quiets the voice of self-doubt. Celebrate these small victories along the way. This reinforces the positive behavior and makes the journey feel less like a struggle and more like an exciting adventure. It's also crucial to build a strong support system. Share your goals and your struggles with people you trust, friends, family, or a therapist. Sometimes just saying your fears out loud can rob them of their power. A good support system can offer encouragement when you're feeling down, celebrate your wins with you, and gently call you out when they see you slipping into old sabotaging patterns. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. If you find that these patterns are deeply ingrained and you are struggling to make progress on your own, seeking professional help from a therapist or counselor can be incredibly beneficial. They can provide you with tools and strategies tailored to your specific situation. Overcoming self-sabotage is not an overnight fix. It's a process of unlearning old patterns and learning new, healthier ones. It takes patience, self-compassion, and persistence. There will be days when you slip back into old habits, and that's okay. The goal isn't perfection. It's progress. Each time you choose to act in your own best interest, you weaken the grip of self-sabotage and strengthen your sense of self-worth and capability. You are reprogramming your mind to believe that you are worthy of success and happiness, and you absolutely are. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content. Let me know in the comments which form of self-sabotage you relate to the most. See you in the next video.